This is one of those questions that I get asked almost every single day. Where the heck should I sell my digital products? Truthfully, there are so many options, and I totally understand why beginners get really caught up here. And honestly, even for me, I have switched my storefront so many times and I've tried almost all of them. Let's be real. Beacons, Go HighLevel, Stand Store, Shopify, DHL. You could build out your own website. And frankly, I feel like most people spend more time researching platforms than they actually do talking and selling their digital products. So I don't want you to fall down this trap. So I'm going to break down all of the top places where you could sell your digital product, what I like about them, what I don't like about them, and I think try to explain who each one is good for, because frankly, they're all for different people or different businesses. Before we jump in, if you are completely new to digital products and you need help actually figuring out your niche, creating a digital product, figuring out how to make sales online, I have to invite you into Digital Products Academy. This is my completely free beginners course and community located over on School. We have over 7,000 people inside already. This is for you if you are actually serious about starting to earn an income with digital products. Let's get back to the problem. I truly think that platform overwhelm is one of the biggest struggles for beginners. Let's be real. You could easily spend hours watching YouTube videos, looking at Facebook posts, doing free trials on all these different platforms. And then you are still in a place where you don't even have your product listed. None of this matters if you don't actually launch your product. So let's get all the confusion out of here and get into the nitty-gritty about the best places to sell your digital products. Now, I want to do a little bit of a broader picture here because I'm not going to go over every single platform that exists. I'm going to go over a couple of my favorites and who they are good for. Because like I had mentioned, I really feel like the different platforms are good for different people and different businesses. Now, there are lots of different platforms in these specific categories, and these are my top platforms in the different categories. So I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to be comparing 3 different platforms, and they're for 3 totally different people. Today, we're going to be talking about Stand Store, Etsy, and Go HighLevel. All completely different and for completely different types of business owners. First and foremost, Stand Store. I honestly love Stand Store. I'm an ambassador with them. I've had hundreds of thousands of dollars run through my Stand Store personally. And to keep this really simple, Stand Store is the simplest and easiest to use all-in-one digital product storefront. This can be your link in bio, your sales pages, simple funnels, order bumps, your emails, everything that you need to successfully sell digital products, you can do on Stand Store. They even have communities, recurring charges. There's so much that you can do. What I love about Stand Store is that they were created by creators. It is a creator-driven platform, not a tech-driven platform. This is best for you if you're a beginner and you have the intention of selling your products primarily on social media. Stand Store does really well with social media because it's a great link in bio. You can kind of showcase all of your different products. It's so easy to build anything out on Stand Store. I am not kidding you. It can take you 5 minutes and you can have your whole link in bio, your sales page, all of it done. And now with Stanley, which is their AI, it can actually do a lot of the writing and everything like that for you as well, which is really cool. So let's talk about the pros. Extremely easy to set up. There is not a simpler storefront to get going on besides Stan. Very beginner friendly, a super clean checkout process, no tech headaches, quick to launch, created by creators for creators. This is not a techie software that you're going to have to learn like most other things. This was literally something that was created because creators were trying to sell digital products online and everything was so complicated. They're like, I'm a creator. I want to do my reels and this and that. I don't want to be on the back end. Stand Store was created for that person. And that's why I love Stand so much, because when we think about selling digital products online, most of us aren't thinking that we want to go spend weeks building up funnels, right? Seriously, if you can upload a link and a description, you can use Stand Store. So even though I am a huge Stan fan, let's talk about the cons, or maybe who this is not for. One of the cons I would say is the monthly fee associated with Stan. There are 2 different tiers for Stand Store. One is $29 a month, one is $99 a month. You can get away with a $29 a month one until you want to use all of the features. If you want to use the emails and just all the different features that they have to offer, you'll need the $99 a month Stand Store account. For me, $100 a month to run literally all of my business is a no-brainer. But I understand for some people, that's just a little bit of a stretch. If you love the idea of Stand Store and it seems a little bit too pricey for you, there are other options like Beacons and some other things like that that could work for you. However, I am not nearly as big of a fan of the back end of the other platforms like Beacons, for instance, as I am of Sand. If you want something really easy to use, easy to integrate, everything all in one place, everything you need, nothing you don't, Sand is the way to go. And also keep in mind that a storefront is one of your only costs associated with a digital products business. Think if you were starting like a restaurant, you would have so many overhead costs before you got to that profit. Digital products are the total opposite. This is basically your only cost. Everything else is pure profit. So anyways, Sand Store, I'm a huge fan. I love it. I think this is where I would go for most people starting out. Let's talk about number 2, Etsy. People love to associate digital products with Etsy. And I think Etsy is great, but for a certain person. So let's dive into this. Because Etsy is completely different than Sand Store. They are like polar opposites. Etsy is a marketplace. Sand Store is not. What do I mean by that? Etsy is a place where any random person can go and search for something and they could potentially find you on there. So you could potentially get traffic from Etsy themselves. But I'm going to be really honest. I think Etsy, as far as digital products are concerned, is really only good for the person who is wanting to sell things, maybe done for you digital products, PLR, lower ticket, rebrandable stuff, printables, templates, planners, journals, checklists, reels, stuff like that. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be done for you or PLR products that are going to be listed on Etsy as far as digital products. I don't necessarily think that if you are selling a digital product that you made personally, that you were only creating one of those things and you needed to drive traffic to this one product you created. I don't know that Etsy is really going to be the place for you. I've had a lot of trials and errors with Etsy, and it seems like you need to have tons and tons and hundreds of listings and be very active at continuing to put up listings to create organic traffic from Etsy to your store. So this, in my mind, tells me that Etsy wants the type of person who is truly trying to create a store, not just a couple of listings. Let's talk about the pros here. Built-in traffic. This is the best pro that Etsy has, is that you could be gaining traction and making sales from your digital products without actually bringing the people in yourself. That's pretty big. Search engine visibility. So people could be searching for something on Google and an Etsy listing could come up because of the intense back-end SEO that Etsy has. The last pro I want to mention is that it has nothing to do with social media. So if you wanted to do Etsy as your primary way to sell digital products, you really don't have to do an Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or any of these things that maybe that's not your vibe. Maybe you don't want to make reels, and that's cool. Etsy might be a good option for you with digital products. All right, let's talk about the cons a little bit. There is so much competition, and I am definitely a glass half full type of gal. I think there is an abundant amount of money and energy and resources for all of us. However, Etsy has so much competition, especially with the type of digital products that actually works on Etsy, which is these printables, planners, the reels, the done for you PLR style products. There's just so much of it on Etsy. So truly, I feel like you would have to do a lot to stand out on Etsy to even get visibility in the first place. Another con is Etsy fees. So I don't know the exact fees anymore. I used to. I believe they've changed since I last looked at them. However, I know you have fees just to be on Etsy. You have a % taken out of every single sale. And then you also have a fixed amount that you're charged every month for every listing that you have on Etsy. They're pretty small, but they do add up, especially if you're not making sales. And then the competition is so high and there are a lot of similar products on Etsy. So then you have to lower your costs to be in competition with everybody else. And then there's all these fees. And so in my mind, the profit is not as good on Etsy. Another con is that you don't own that customer relationship. So when someone buys from like your Sand Store, you get their email. And so you can stay in contact with them. You can sell them other things. You can continue to nurture in that way. But on Etsy, you can't at all. You don't own the platform. I think that's really what it barks down to. You don't own Etsy, right? You can own a little bit your email list, but you don't own Etsy. So when someone purchases from you on Etsy, it's a one and done. That's that. Whereas on Sand Store, you could have somebody, I have people that have purchased tons of things from me over years now because I've been able to continue to nurture them and build that connection with them over all of this time. And that would not be a possibility whatsoever on Etsy. So my hot take on Etsy, there's good and bad. There's pros and cons for this one. If you're someone who doesn't want to show up on social media, who doesn't mind creating lots of listings, and maybe you would like that, maybe you think that's kind of fun, loves the idea of done for you digital products or branding a storefront really in a fun way and doing that type of thing, I think Etsy could really work for you. Last one, GHL, which is Go High Level. I had personally used GHL for quite a while, and I actually just recently, officially, after years of halfway using StanStore, canceled my GHL membership. GHL is basically a StanStore, but for people who want to be really techie. This is building out full websites, building out full funnels, building out more complicated automations that you actually have to manually put them all together. You can do so much on here. It's like a full operating system for your entire business. And StanStore is as well, but StanStore is very simple and easy to use, whereas GHL is really not. Okay. And I think this is what ultimately did it for me. Even though with something that's more complicated, you also have the perk of having so many more options because you're building it all out from scratch. Where on StanStore, it's simple, but there's not as many options, right? You can't just do tons and tons of different things with your link in bio, with your storefront. There's just a couple of things to choose from, really. But with GHL, you can do anything. You can literally build out any type of website you want, any type of funnels you want, any type of automations you want. GHL is for you if you are techie and you don't mind spending some time on the back end. And I don't want to downplay it. It can be extremely powerful because there's just so much you can do with it. I don't think it's a good place for a beginner. I'll just say that. If you are just getting into digital products and just trying to figure out how to sell and you mainly want to use social media, go do something simple like StanStore. And then maybe down the line, if you are like, man, I love the back end, I would love to have a really nice tailored to me website, that's when you should maybe go do GHL. I could it backwards. And I'm realizing now what really matters more is like the front end of stuff. The actual marketing and all of that matters way more than the actual sales pages, all of that stuff. But anyways, you can do real funnels on here, real websites, full automation, domains, memberships, courses, you name it, you can do it over here. I think one of the pros is it really does give you full ownership of everything you have going on in your business. You can even link up your social medias, even like Pinterest and stuff like that. You can schedule your posts from the back end. It's just a true business hub, which I think is really cool. But for the beginner, it's going to be totally overwhelming and not where you should focus your time at the beginning of your business. Some of the pros, like I said, you can do literally anything on here. It's super powerful. This truly can replace a lot of different subscriptions that you might have to start accumulating once you start growing your business. It is going to be really great for long-term scaling. And like I said, it truly does just give you full ownership of your entire business in one place. I'm pretty sure you can even link up like your meta ads and stuff like that on there. Truly, it integrates with anything. There are some cons though. Huge learning curve. Oh my gosh. If you're not familiar with like building out websites or anything like that, and you just built your first digital product, I'm begging you, do not go get GHL, go get StanStore. However, if you have a little bit of a tech background and you're getting into this space and you like that type of stuff, I'm a little bit techie, so I liked that. GHL might be for you. It's actually pretty fun. There's so much you can do on there. Once you get going, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can do anything on here. It is pretty cool. Another con is going to be the cost. So I believe it's just a flat rate of $99 a month. I would have to double check, but it's definitely not less than that. It might even be more than that. And then frankly, it's just way too intense for a beginner. It's just way too intense. It's so unnecessary. A lot of it is really cool. So unnecessary. You just need a place for somebody to purchase your digital product. And you can do that on a lot of other places that are just really simple to use. So to recap my personal take on GHL, I actually love GHL. I built a huge portion of my personal business on these more intense back end places like GHL. However, if you're watching this and you haven't even created your first digital product or you just created your first digital product, do not start here. Go start with Stan. All right, so I want to quickly talk about my honest recommendations for all three, just a recap. If you have little no sales, you are truly just getting started with your digital products business, small audience, maybe you just created a product or you're about to create a product, go use StanStore. That is a place for you. If you're thinking you are going to be primarily using social media to drive traction to your business, go use StanStore. Scenario number 2, Etsy is for you if you really don't want to do social media. Maybe you want to be totally faceless, maybe redesigning stuff on Canva, or maybe you love creating digital products like printables, planners, stuff like that. And like I said, you don't want to heavily focus on social media. Etsy is probably a really good place for you. People are buying solutions. And if that's really all you care about and you don't want to do the whole social media thing, I think Etsy could be a great option for you. And scenario 3, Go HighLevel is for you if you have already made some sales. You want to do really cool funnels. You want to do more intense like email marketing and more intense like order bumps and upsells and all of these things that are, I would personally say, more at the scaling level, not the starting level of digital products. Then I would say GHL might be for you. The biggest mistake is not picking the right platform. It's simply not picking a platform and not getting going with your digital products business because you are so concerned with making sure you pick the perfect platform to start on. I have spent a lot of time mentoring people in the digital product space, and I've seen people time and time again waste weeks or months contemplating all the different platforms and really just delaying starting actually making sales in their business because they want to find the perfect platform instead of just getting going and then altering their platform later. So here's your challenge. Pick one of these platforms, one of them this week, not 2, not 3, one platform, set it up, upload your product and get it live. You can always expand and change later, but you need to get it live. And if you want more help creating your first digital product, figuring out what to sell, figuring out the basics of content, I want to invite you one more time into my completely free beginners course and community. It's located over on School. We have over 7,500 people inside of there already. This is where I share everything that I've learned in the last couple of years with my personal digital products business and help beginners start and scale their own digital products businesses around their passions. I will have the link for Digital Products Academy posted right below this video. I hope to see you there.